Honestly, when I first saw the Criterion cover for this movie, it gave me evil Bond villain launching a chemical weapon vibes. Needless to say, I was way off. This film, in fact, is so much more and so much better than what I thought it would be. Taste of Cherry is a 1997 film made by the acclaimed Iranian filmmaker Abbas Kiarostami. Personally, I think Kiarostami is one of the best filmmakers to have existed, and this film is a prime example of why. This film follows a man named Mr. Badi. At first, we don't know his motives nor his plans. He's merely a man window shopping in his car. It's as if he's looking for someone. And in these opening scenes, we can see desperation from both sides of the vehicle. On the outside, laborers gather around his car, begging for work to be provided, while on the inside, we can instantly see something is paining our protagonist. We just don't know exactly what. At some point in a later scene, Mr. Badi picks up a young soldier, essentially a boy still in basic training. He agrees to a drive Mr. Badi offers, as well as payment for some work, and takes him through dusted over rocky hills. The landscape isn't, the best, of course, it's pretty deserty. Eventually, they make a stop, and Mr. Badi reveals his true intentions.
دوبار من صدا میکنه میگه آقای بدی آقای بدی اما اگه جواب تو نداد 20 تا بیل خاک که اینجاست میرزی روی من.
For reasoning unknown and unexplained, it's revealed to the audience that Mr. Badi has decided to commit suicide in the ditch he's made, and wishes to pay someone to bury his corpse under the tree he hopes to be lying under. It's a revelation that instantly brings us, as well as the young soldier, much concern and fear. Taste of Cherry is often tagged as one of the most depressing depictions of the human condition, but I somewhat feel the opposite once the film is over. Of course, I'm not going to doubt that following a man in such desperation to end his life isn't a boatload of fun. There can be many instances where the film looks bleak and hopeless, but that's only from Mr. Badi's view of his life. As an audience member, we're forced into his perspective, forced into his pain, and witness how he feels. Kiarostami captures these moments of hopelessness so breathtakingly well. There's several amazing shots showcasing the feeling of loneliness, with my favorite being the dirt tumbling into the cement mix with his shadow casted over. I mean, come on. That's beautiful, bro. That's so beautiful. Throughout this film, we see Mr. Badi's attitude somewhat shift, all based around the people he interacts with. While most people believe that his interaction with Mr. Badjari is the turning point, I don't doubt it, but everyone honestly gives him something to resonate with. Take the young soldier, for example. He doesn't speak about his appreciations for life or even his outlook, but his appearance says it all. When in the car, Mr. Badi reminisces about his time in the military and the same age he was as the boy. He even goes as far as saying it was the best time of his youth. That form of reflection already begins to sow the seeds for his doubt. Furthermore, when Mr. Badi runs into a ditch, without even asking, laborers gather to assist him out of it. Seeing that unspoken act of kindness warmed my heart. I could only imagine how it made Mr. Badi feel. At the cement factory, Mr. Badi converses with a security guard, who talks with him about the war occurring in Iraq, which caused him and millions of Afghanis to flee. In the security room, Mr. Badi is offered tea and friendship from the security guard. While this dialogue may seem very minuscule at the time, I love the part where the guard talks about his appreciation for loneliness. It made me realize how difficult it is for humans to feel comfortable with ourselves. I wonder how it made Mr. Badi feel. After talking to the guard, Mr. Badi escorts a seminarist to the ditch. The young man refuses to help him, saying it goes against their religion. That form of pessimism, or rather lecture he gives to Mr. Badi, doesn't help him, nor would it really help anyone in his position, as it only make them feel more guilty about their feelings. But there is one part of the seminarist's speech that gives an inkling of calm, when he states that God has a plan for everyone, and that he gives us our bodies for as long as it's able to naturally exist. I may be reaching with the young man's lines, but I suppose even a form of scolding could lead to some positive reflection for Mr. Badi. Finally, towards the end of the film, we instantly cut to an old man who seemingly agreed to Mr. Badi's request. As they drive back to where the old man needs to go, he begins to give Mr. Badi a monologue. One of the most powerfully enlightening monologues I think and most importantly our protagonist, has ever heard. The old man, named Mr. Bajari, tells him of when he was young and felt the same way. He tells of his journey to kill himself under a tree, very similar to Mr. Badi's plan, only instead of being buried, he wished to hang himself. Upon many failed attempts, he eventually is saved, but not from a person, from the sweet taste of mulberries growing in the tree he was in. At that moment, paired with a beautiful sunrise and children clamoring to also eat mulberries, brought Mr. Bajari to a sudden realization that there is so much beauty in the world. If you think about it, giving up on life means you give up on everything you've ever known, whether that's the laborers that pushed your car out of a ditch, or even a lonesome man offering to make you a cup of tea. All these moments, as a robot said, all these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. I know that when I can sit and watch a sunrise or sunset, it brings me a sense of peace that a problem I'm facing will eventually subside, along with the stress. I believe that this monologue from Mr. Bajari was the final straw that broke Mr. Badi's blindness. And yes, I say blindness. When we're depressed, we feel blinded by the pain. Our anguish can be so powerful when focused on that nothing else brings meaning. And it's so hard to get out of that ditch we find ourselves in. It's almost inescapable. In the final scene, when Mr. Badi is laying in the ditch, drifting off asleep in the night sky, we never see what becomes of him, only the screen turning to black. All we have left is our interpretation. Obviously, I'd like to believe something did click for him. I'd like to think that all those interactions etched away at the pain he'd been harboring for so long. Of course, I don't think they talked the pain away, but I think that maybe it opened his eyes to another solution from his despair. Perhaps not ending it, and possibly healing from it. In the end, this film gives us the message not of hopelessness, but of hope. It's the ultimate appreciation for our lives and what we take for granted. Just the thought that you're alive right now, watching this video, is mind-boggling. I mean, the fact I'm alive and I was able to make this video makes me cherish what I have. Suicide is scary because once we leave behind everything. And as depressing as my life gets, I couldn't give up the taste of a good burrito, or chicken teriyaki, or even mint chewing gum, or you get the point, etc., etc. But really, think about it. What would you miss the most? Whatever you'd miss, go experience it right now. Cherish it. As the old man said, thanks everyone for watching. God, I love this movie. If you haven't already, please leave a like and subscribe. Let's get through this year together. It's a tough year. Please also let me know any other films you'd like to see me talk about. As always, have a good day. Watch a good film. It's been Bill, guys. Bye-bye.